I, 21-year-old female, received gifts from my boyfriend, 24-year-old male, today as my Christmas present. I kinda knew from the start before I even opened them that I wouldn't like them. I just had that feeling. Turns out that feeling was right. He got me 2 gifts. One gift was a giant life-size cutout of Hatsune Miku, and the other was a makeup palette. The first gift just kind of blew my mind. I've never once hinted that this would be something I'm interested in, nor have I ever directly said anything about liking the character. This gift was based off a poster I had in my old apartment that my ex left when he moved out. He was the fan of the character, and I was just left with a poster I had bought for him. When we left my parents, I told him that I wasn't very fond of it because I think cutouts are creepy, and I didn't want to set up and get scared by it randomly in the middle of the night. He kinda got upset by this, even though I did thank him for it. The second gift was alright, but when it comes to makeup, I'm very picky about the stuff I use. I'm into more pinks and bright colours than the more toned-down colours that the palette had. This was also another thing I didn't specifically mention I wanted. I didn't say anything about not liking it, and just thanked him. It feels like he assumed I would enjoy this stuff when I don't. I don't wear makeup often, and I'm not fond of random things that could freak me out by just being in the corner, all freaky-like. I texted my friend to ask her opinion on this, and he caught a glimpse of my telling her about the presents and how I didn't like them. He told me he's upset I went to her instead of telling him, but I already felt bad for telling him that I didn't really like the first thing. So saying I didn't like the second one just seemed like a weenie move, and I was just going to keep it to myself. Now he's just giving me the silent treatment, even after I explained that I felt shitty telling him I didn't like the things he bought me. I know I should be grateful, but I went to lengths for his gift, and it feels like he didn't listen to anything I've been saying. I've wanted in the 3 months I've been talking about random stuff I would like. Am I the idiot? Edit. To answer some things. What did I get him? I got him a $100 gift certificate to his favorite tattoo artist because he has a tattoo he's been wanting to get finished. I would have put more on it if I had the money, but I'm flat broke right now due to house bills. That stupid poster. That poster was something I had in my old apartment until August of this year. It was hidden behind my door of the bedroom of the apartment. I no longer live in that apartment. He watched me tear the poster to shreds when I was moving things out because he was one of the people helping me move out of that apartment, because that apartment was where my ex-boyfriend, the owner of the poster, abused me. The gifts. I never once said I didn't thank him for them. I did. I told him thank you for the gifts when I opened them, and told him privately after the first gift the story behind why I'm not a fan of Miku. He was upset by this, but understood. I told him how I was a little scared to open the second one, because I didn't want to not like it, and make him feel bad if I didn't. He told me that he bet his life I would like it. When it turned out I didn't like it, I messaged my friend back because she was asking about the second gift, because I sent her a photo of the first one. He just happened to look at my phone when I was distracted, and saw the conversation, and got mad. You live with your boyfriend of 3 months? I have a house which I bought in August, and had asked my boyfriend, who was my friend at the time, to be my roommate to make it easier to pay bills. He ended up asking me out in September. Yes, we lived together, but no, it wasn't because we were dating. We were close friends, even if we had only met a couple months prior, and I needed someone to help pay bills. I had another person that was going to move in, but she backed out because she wanted her own space with her boyfriend. Edit 2. I can't get to everyone, though from what I've read, which is a lot, I didn't expect this to blow up. Majority is that I'm not the idiot. For those that think I am entitled and ungrateful, that's to each their own. I told him specifically not to get me anything at all because I wasn't able to afford much. I was only able to get his gift out of sheer luck. I didn't want anything, but I knew he was going to get me something no matter what I said. So whenever I saw something I liked, either while we were out or if I saw it online, I'd send it to him or point it out, saying this is something I think is cool. I never ever mentioned Miku in any conversation ever. I have, however, mentioned other anime characters that I enjoy. I've talked about countless things I enjoy with him. He knows how much of a fan of Hello Kitty I am. I mean, he bought me socks randomly because I was sad about something. That's something I would have appreciated, as opposed to a cardboard cutout, even though they are still creepy. I've also mentioned that I need a makeup container so I could move my makeup off the floor of the bathroom. I never ask for makeup because I'm picky about my makeup, because I have sensitive skin. I hope this edit helps people understand better. I did text him this morning after I had left for work that I was sorry for hurting him by and that it wasn't intentional. I also explained why I didn't like the gifts and told him I'd make him his favorite food to make up for upsetting him. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Silent treatment is the weapon of manipulators and emotionally immature adults' children, not the idiot. It's okay if you don't like the gifts someone gets you. My suggestion for next time would be to just smile and nod and say thank you. Then keep it for a year or two before donating it, unused. If questions are asked, then you can explain why you didn't use it. It sounds like he doesn't know you very well. Have you talked to him about the things you like? How long have you been dating? Some people are just really crappy gift givers because they can't relate to people well enough to understand them. Others are crappy gift givers because they will get something they want and then pass it off to someone else. Comment 2. Meh, can't really say you are or aren't the AH here. In general, my philosophy is that whenever someone takes the time and money to buy you something, say thank you and let it go. If you use, display, consume it, they'll know how much you enjoyed it. If they never see it again, then they'll hopefully figure out they missed the mark and do better next time. And that is especially true of a 3-month boyfriend. But if you absolutely feel the need to tell him that you didn't particularly like a gift, it's definitely a bad idea to say it right then. Wait a week or two to be sure your displeasure doesn't dissipate and so that you can choose your words wisely. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the support on my last post. It's been a wild week since then, and I've got quite the update for you all. So, after the whole gift debacle, things between my boyfriend and I were tense. We were still living together, but the air was thick with unsaid words. I tried to make amends by cooking his favorite meal, but it was like trying to patch up a dam with a band-aid. Now, remember how I mentioned that my ex was hurtful? Well, turns out my current boyfriend had been talking to him. I found out when I overheard a phone conversation where my boyfriend was asking my ex for advice on how to handle me. I was floored. I couldn't believe he'd go behind my back and talk to the one person who hurt me the most. I confronted him about it, and he admitted that he felt insecure about our relationship. He said he wanted to understand me better and thought my ex could give him insight. I was furious. How could he think that was okay? We had a huge fight, and I told him that he crossed a line. During the fight, he blurted out that he got the makeup palette from a coworker who said it was foolproof for girlfriends. That's when it clicked. The coworker he mentioned was someone he'd been spending a lot of time with lately. I had always had a weird feeling about her, but I brushed it off, thinking I was just being paranoid. After the fight, I needed to clear my head, so I went for a walk. When I came back, I found him packing his things. He said he needed space and was going to stay with a friend. I was a mix of relieved and heartbroken. I didn't stop him. The next day, I was cleaning up and found a receipt for the Hatsune Miku cutout. It was dated a week before my ex had moved out, which meant my boyfriend had bought it while we were still just friends. Why would he buy something like that before we were even together? I decided to do some digging. I went through old messages between us from before we started dating. That's when I found it. A message from him, months ago, saying how he thought the Hatsune Miku poster in my old apartment was cool and asking where he could get one. I had completely forgotten about that exchange. It was like a punch to the gut. He had remembered that all this time, and I had torn it up right in front of him. Feeling like I was in some sort of twisted mystery novel, I reached out to the coworker, the one who recommended the makeup palette. I needed answers. We met up, and she was surprisingly open. She told me that my boyfriend had been confiding in her about our relationship, and that he felt like he couldn't connect with me. She suggested the makeup as a peace offering, thinking it would be a nice gesture. But then she dropped the bombshell. She said that my boyfriend had been questioning his feelings for me and that he felt more of a connection with her. They hadn't done anything physical, but emotionally, they were getting close. I was stunned. All this time, I thought we were building something real, and he was pulling away. I went home, feeling like I was in a daze. I didn't know what to do with all this information. Then, my phone buzzed. It was my boyfriend, saying we needed to talk. He came over, and we sat down for what felt like the most important conversation of our lives. He apologized for talking to my ex, and for not being honest about his feelings. He said he was confused and scared about how fast our relationship had progressed from friendship to romance. He admitted that he did have feelings for his coworker, but that he wanted to work things out with me. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to forgive him, but another part of me felt betrayed. We decided to take a break from the relationship to figure things out. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, I got a message from my ex. He said he wanted to meet up and talk about something important. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a coffee shop, and he told me he was moving out of state. He wanted to apologize for everything he had done to me, and said that talking to my boyfriend made him realize how much he had hurt me. He said he was seeking therapy and trying to be a better person. I was speechless. It was like all the ghosts of my past were coming back at once. I told him I appreciated the apology, but I needed to focus on my own life. As I walked home from the coffee shop, I couldn't help but feel like everything was changing. My relationship was on hold, my ex was trying to make amends, and I was in the middle of it all, trying to figure out where I stood. My boyfriend's sexist joke backfired when his mom revealed her escape plan. He's clueless that she's about to drop a bombshell. I, 26-year-old female, work out of state and came home to my parents for Christmas and New Year. I'm only working out of state temporarily. I invited my boyfriend, 25-year-old male, over for New Year at my parents' house. He stayed for about 3 days and we had fun. He made a good impression, as he usually does, except for one conversation where my boyfriend was joking about his family dynamic. I will have to add some context. My boyfriend is from a fairly traditional family where his mom, 46-year-old female, was at one point a stay-at-home mother and did everything. At another point, she had 2 jobs and also did all the domestic work, while his dad, 60-year-old male, would just work and do his hobbies. So he grew up in a family where gender roles are a big thing. On the other hand, I grew up in a family where my parents did equal domestic work, and the women are as educated as the men. Sadly, my father died, but my mother's 58-year-old female, new husband, 57-year-old male, is wonderful. For financial reasons, they don't officially live together, but my mom's partner does loads to help around the house, even though he doesn't live at my mother's. I knew my boyfriend came from a very traditional family, and it doesn't bother me, as I knew he doesn't want that from me and is with me because he likes that I am my own person with a career. The thing is, I'm getting older now, and am not in a relationship for the giggles. My parents know this. My boyfriend and I have had many conversations about being properly serious, talking about marriage, etc. So my parents are a little extra protective, knowing my boyfriend and my intentions. It was after dinner, and we were all talking. My mother and stepdad were asking my boyfriend about his family and home life. My boyfriend jokes about how much work his mom does and how his dad does nothing. He says that his mom does all the chores, cooking, has no hobbies because she's so busy, and how his dad has loads of hobbies and spends a lot of time with his friends. He was explaining this dynamic in such a positive manner, as though it's totally normal and a good thing. My whole family was visibly shocked and concerned, but my boyfriend kept going. The conversation ended there as no one knew what to say. I was mortified. My parents warned me that I might end up earning 50% of the income while doing all the chores. They said my boyfriend didn't seem to understand how unfairly his mother has been treated, etc. So I told my boyfriend that was embarrassing for me, as it seemed he wasn't ashamed of the fact that his father let his mother work, do all the domestic chores, and have no time off. He was upset, saying he's just proud of his parents who have worked hard to get where they are and haven't had it easy. Both are immigrants and have worked so hard. But I respect how hard they work, particularly his mother. I don't respect how accepting he is of the fact that his mother does everything while his father does nothing. So, am I the jerk, Aeta, for saying this is embarrassing? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. But, are you really so sure about what he would expect from you post-marriage? Because he sounds awfully unfazed by it. Like he doesn't realize he just bragged about his mother having no life of her own, and doesn't see a problem. Have you actually had a discussion with him about what your relationship roles would look like long-term? Or are you basing your beliefs that he doesn't want what his parents have on the fact that he's not pushing for it pre-marriage? Comment 2. Not the idiot, and maybe your family's reaction will clue him in to the fact that his parents' marriage dynamic is toxic and potentially hurtful. But for you, I wouldn't move in with this guy unless and until he recognizes that. Because if he sees his parents' arrangement as acceptable, then don't be surprised if he springs the same views on you once you move in with him, as liberal and equal as he may claim to be now. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been a week since I last posted about the awkward situation with my boyfriend and my family over New Year's. I've got an update for you all, and let me tell you, it's been a chaotic ride. After the whole conversation about his family's dynamic, things got pretty tense between my boyfriend and me. We had a long talk where I explained why my family and I were so taken aback by his comments. He seemed to understand where I was coming from, but he was still defensive about his family, especially his mom. Now, here's where things get juicy. A couple of days after our talk, my boyfriend's mom called me. I've always gotten along with her, but this call was out of the blue. She wanted to talk about what happened at my parents' house. Apparently, my boyfriend had told her about the conversation and how it upset me. She confided in me that she's been feeling overwhelmed for years, doing all the housework and working multiple jobs. She said she's been considering leaving my boyfriend's dad because she's tired of the imbalance in their relationship. I was shocked. I never knew she felt this way because she always seemed so strong and put together. My boyfriend's mom also revealed that she's been secretly taking night classes to get her degree. She's been doing this for the past year, and no one in the family knew, not even my boyfriend. She's planning to start a career and become financially independent. This was a huge surprise to me, and it made me see her in a whole new light. I told my boyfriend about the call, and he was floored. He had no idea his mom was feeling this way, or that she was working towards a degree. It was a wake-up call for him. He started to realize that maybe his family's dynamic wasn't as great as he thought. But wait, there's more. My mom's partner, who's always been super supportive and helpful around the house, sat my boyfriend down for a man-to-man talk. He shared his own story about how he used to be like my boyfriend's dad, focused on work and hobbies, until his first marriage fell apart because of it. He told my boyfriend that it took losing his family to understand the importance of balance and partnership in a relationship. This conversation hit my boyfriend hard. He started to reflect on his own behavior and how he might be unconsciously following in his dad's footsteps. He decided to take action and started helping out more around my parents' house, doing dishes, and even cooking dinner one night. Now, here's the confrontation you've been waiting for. My boyfriend and I were having a quiet night in when his dad called. His dad had heard about the talk with my mom's partner and was angry. He accused my boyfriend of disrespecting the family and their traditions. My boyfriend, for the first time, stood up to his dad. He told him that he didn't want to end up like him, with a partner who felt unappreciated and overworked. The call ended with his dad hanging up on him, and my boyfriend was pretty upset. But I could tell he felt like he'd done the right thing. It was a huge step for him, and I was proud of how he handled it. In the midst of all this, my boyfriend and I have been talking more seriously about our future. We've been discussing how we'd balance our careers and household responsibilities if we were to move in together. It's been a tough but necessary conversation, and I feel like we're making progress. Mom hid Dad's family's calls for years, so I spent Christmas with Ember. Now, their secret letters reveal a shocking truth. My girlfriend Ember, 20 years old, and I, 20 years old, went to her family for Christmas. We started dating over 2 years ago, and I met her family on their first visit to the college, and they included me in lunch. Ever since, I have kept in regular contact with them, and when they visit Ember, they make sure they spend some time with me as well. They are really awesome people and have made me feel so included. They even buy me gifts for my birthday and Christmas. Ember and I moved in together in July, and her family flew out to help us set up. They were so incredibly helpful to us, and they invited us to Christmas dinner at that point. I say us, but I really mean me, since Ember goes to them anyway. It meant so much to me, and I immediately said yes. My mom was bothered by it when I told her, and she put pressure on me to change my mind and go home, right up until Christmas. I always told her I was going to Ember's family, and never wavered or made this unclear to her. She just assumed I would choose her anyway. So there's some background to this I should explain right here. I come from a blended family. I say blended because it really wasn't very well blended, lol. My mom had me, met my stepdad when I was 2 or 3. He was a widower with a 6-year-old and 8-year-old. They got married. They also had 2 children together. My mom's family was never part of my life. They were in and out of jail for various things, so my mom didn't include them. I never knew my father or his family. My stepdad's family never saw me as one of their own. My step-siblings had family from their mom's side who were very involved too. And growing up, I always felt very out of place and like I didn't belong anywhere. My step and half siblings all had at least one set of grandparents who adored them and they had a great relationship with. I had no extended family. My step-siblings never saw me as their brother and were distant. I was around both my stepdad's family and his first wife's family, and I always felt awkward. I was overlooked. Any inclusion was lesser than full inclusion other kids in the family had. I got it, especially with my step-siblings' family, but it would have been easier to stay at home. My mom never really got it or had much to say about it, and my stepdad was never someone I felt I could talk to. Anyway, going home was not something I felt good about, because I normally had to see all these people who didn't really want me. Christmas 2022 was rough for that very reason. I loved my Christmas with Ember's family though. Mom was so pissed at me for choosing to go there instead of home. She said we're not married yet and we're still so young. We should be with our own family for Christmas. I told her I went there because I actually feel like I'm part of the family instead of being around a huge extended blended family where nobody freaking wants me. My mom told me that wasn't fair and she always wants me, and so do my siblings. She told me I was saying things to be hurtful, and that was unfair. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. I'd tell your mother that you aren't trying to hurt her. This is how you truly feel. If she denies that and wants to keep her head in the sand, nothing will change. She can't ignore her way into a reality being different. Instead of blaming you, it would be better if at least your mother understood where you are coming from and stopped going into denial as an attempt to pretend the problem doesn't exist. Comment 2. Not the idiot. She pushed for a reason, and you told the truth of how you feel. She may feel she wants you, but it's the actions that you see. If you ever decide to have a conversation about this with her, point out the things they do and have done that make you feel unwanted or not part of the family. Now for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been a hectic 3 days since my last post about spending Christmas with my girlfriend Ember's family instead of my own. I've got some updates for you. And trust me, they're pretty intense. So, after the whole Christmas drama, things seemed to settle down, or so I thought. Ember and I were enjoying our time together, reminiscing about the great Christmas we had with her family. They really went all out to make me feel welcome, and it was the first time in a long while I felt like I was part of a family celebration, not just a bystander. But then, 2 days ago, my mom called. She was calmer than before, which was a relief. She wanted to talk about what happened and why I chose to spend Christmas with Ember's family. I explained to her, again, how I felt more included with them. I thought she understood, but then she dropped a bombshell. Turns out, my mom had been holding on to a secret for years. She confessed that my biological father's family had been trying to get in touch with me for a long time. She had kept it from me because she was afraid I'd want to be with them instead of our blended family. I was flawed. All these years, feeling like I had no extended family, and there was a whole other side that wanted to know me. I was angry, hurt, and confused. Why would she keep this from me? She said she was trying to protect me, but it felt like she was just trying to keep me to herself. I told her I needed some time to process this. Ember was shocked too when I told her. She's been super supportive, helping me work through my feelings. She even suggested we could try to contact my father's family together when I'm ready. The next day, I decided to confront my stepdad about it. I had a hunch he knew something about this too. He was always quiet about my biological dad's side of the family. When I asked him, he admitted that he knew and agreed with my mom's decision at the time. I couldn't believe it. The man who was supposed to be a father figure to me was in on this too. I felt betrayed by both of them. It was like all the years of feeling left out were just compounded by this huge lie. I left their house feeling more alone than ever, even though Ember was right there with me. But here's where it gets even crazier. Yesterday, my half-sister, who's always been kind of distant, reached out to me. She said she overheard the conversation with our parents and felt terrible about everything. She had no idea about my biological father's family trying to contact me. She apologized for not being a better sister over the years. We met up for coffee, and she told me she wanted to make things right. She had actually been in touch with my biological father's sister, my aunt, without our parents knowing. She handed me a letter from my aunt, explaining how they'd been trying to reach out and be a part of my life. I haven't opened the letter yet. I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything. Ember says she'll be with me no matter what I decide to do about my biological father's family. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.